and welcome to Good Times, and we are joined by someone who's all set to take us on a trip to Paradise Stars. Shweta Bachchan, thank you so much. We meet again.
Yes.
Another debut, I would say.
Yep.
Fashion and now book. So now you are the Bachchan who's a lady of very few words. So you've managed to write this entire 170-page book?
Yes. Well, it's shorter than most. So those who are up for a quick read, please pick it up.
No, I've read the book. It is a very light read. So was there always a writer in you?
Yes, there was. I've been writing and jotting things down. I've kept a journal. It started out as a diary, you know, one of those Dear Diary, today I did this, and then it you know, sort of evolved into a journal, and then I would write short stories all the time for myself. And now finally we're here, Paradise Towers.
So, I mean, before I come to Paradise Towers, is like, you know, somebody would have thought with your book you would have written about your own life experiences, being born in the family that you've been. And I'm sure your life has more extraordinary experiences than the ordinary people. Didn't you ever think about writing about yourself?
No, I've been asked this a lot, and I say this all the time, is that, you know, when you share your family members with the world to such a large extent, you know, whether it's birthdays, it's never just you and them. They're always sort of, you know, people want to meet you, or you have to give a TV interview or something. There are certain aspects of your life that you just want to keep private and treasure and just hold on to as your own. You know, whatever little private time you get, you want it to be just yours and not have to share everything with the world. So that is probably why I don't think I would write about my life or my, you know, my family and what, you know, just, you know, I wouldn't. I would want that for myself.
And also writers draw from their lives. We all do. So when Paradise Stars, when I was reading it, I'm not going to give the plot away. It's about these families living in different apartment blocks. Have you caricatured some real life people that you met over the years?
Well, you know, I love people watching. It's my favorite thing to do at a party, at a function. You know, you go out for dinner and, you know, you look onto the other table, there's someone in animated conversation. So I think it's all an amalgamation of that. But also, you know, like my Bengali nani, you know, Punjabi ladies I've met while I've lived, you know, moved to Delhi. And so, you know, it's all a little bit of all my experiences. It's a little bit voyeuristic because it's like I'm looking over people's shoulders and seeing, and it just fascinates me. And so that's how I've peopled the people of Paradise Towers.
So is voyeurism your guilty pleasure?
No, it isn't. I mean, voyeurism is such a bad name. It's actually, you keep your eyes open, you observe. Like I've said, I'm inherently shy. And so, you know, when you're sitting quietly, you just watch. You watch how people behave, how people interact. And it's something that I've always done. And I enjoy doing it, just seeing what's happening around you. And then, you know, I just retain it. And that's where this comes from.
And is there a bit of you in the two characters, the two young girls, like
well,
Shahana and Leila? Is there a bit of you? Because when I was reading about Leila, I don't know why I thought I said, that sounds like Shweta. Then when I read a little bit of Shahana, I thought she sounds like her too. So
well, if any, it would be Shana, because as a young girl, I was very awkward, gawky. You know, I was very tall at a very young age. So it was, you know, if you're a tall girl at a very young age, you're always awkward about how you're towering over everybody else. The boys don't let you live it down because you're taller than them. They hate that. But, you know, and you still have to grow into your face and everything. So I was accident prone, and I was always, you know, with my books and sitting in the side, and you know, I was that person, bit of a geek.
So not Leila at all. I mean, haven't you ever done something rebellious, because she's not somebody you expect to rebel, and suddenly
you know, I don't know, you'll have to ask my mom, because I don't think I've been rebellious, but she may have other stories to tell.
So who in the family has read the book? And
Mama.
And what was her feedback?
She read it precisely because I knew she would be dead honest, and she read it and she said, first of all, she said, I'm surprised you've written about this building. How do you know, and how did you get it pat on? So I said, hey, wow, Mom, that's a huge compliment. And she said, yes, because you've never lived in this environment. And I said, yes, but I've visited and I've observed people. I've kept my eyes and ears open. And she found it very, very visual. She said as a film person, maybe it's because I'm a film person, she said, but I could actually picture it. I could see it as a movie. It was very visual the way you wrote, and she liked that about the book.
And yes, and come to think of it, since you wrote about this building and somebody's not lived in a building, how did that happen?
Again, you know, from sort of observing, visiting friends, always wondering what happens, you know. And also, if you're a shy child and you're a bit of a daydreamer, you're sitting, going from place to place in Bombay traffic, and it's full of buildings. And I would always look in windows and say, I wonder what's going on in that house. Or, you know, you see someone hanging out there drying, and you think, oh, I wonder what her story is. And then you make stories up. Maybe she does this, maybe she does that. That's where it's all come from.
And also, I mean, the legacy that you come from, like your grandfather, I mean, sometimes does that become a burden, the legacy, or are you your own author?
Well, if I'm going to think like that, I wouldn't even be able to put down a full stop, because these are very, very big shoes to fill. So you take baby steps, and who knows where it takes you. But I'm not burdened by it. I'm proud of it. And I'm just very aware. I'm aware of it, and I wouldn't want to do something to sort of tarnish it in any way. But this is my own sweet, small story.
So who have been your biggest influences, I mean, while growing up?
While growing up, actually fictional characters. The Secret Seven, Famous Five, St. Clair's, Mallory Towers. These are all the books I grew up with, you know, so those were all my influences. And yeah, I think fictional. I related to those more. I wanted to be in those worlds.
And in the family, like who among your parents, and who's influenced you the most?
You know, I think at different phases of your life, different family members influence you the most. So I think while growing up, it was my mother, a lot. My father was working round the clock. And then when I was a teenager, he took a break. And then, you know, I spent a lot of time with him. I feel today as an adult, he is a huge influence, just purely because of his work ethic and, you know, his drive to want to learn more, do more, be more, even at 76. And, you know, that phase when I was having my own children, running my home, my mother came into play. It's so often I'll sit with my kids and they'll say, I hope you know you're turning into Nani. And I'll say, am I? And they'll say, yes, you are. And my brother says it all the time. It could have been Mama who said that. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. So yes, of course, my mother, hugest, strongest influence. So yeah.
So since, as you said, that you'd been writing and you'd been scribbling, you've done columns as well.
Yes.
Why did it take so long for this book to come along? It could have happened earlier.
I don't think I had the confidence. I don't even know if I entirely do now. If someone tells me they like it, I'm so surprised. And I'm like, really? I'm so happy and I feel so good. Yeah, it's just, I didn't have the confidence. It's quite simple.
And any interesting anecdotes you want to tell us while writing this book, that something happened, you know, and...
No, nothing necessarily. I mean, all the interesting bits should be between the pages of this book. But yeah, it was something that I did. I didn't, you know, everyone knew I was writing, like my parents knew I was writing, but they didn't really actively see me doing it. So they didn't know about it. And, you know, they're all so excited when they see the book. They're like, oh my God, your book is here. And it's like, when did you write this? It was almost like that. But yeah. Pretty much that. You
know, another thing that struck me about the book was how you very formally addressed tenants of the building.
Right.
You never get to know their first names. There's a Mrs. Ali Khan, there's a Mrs. Kapoor, there's a Mrs. Patel, there's a Mrs. Roy, and a Mrs. Modi.
Right.
But the kids have all been named. Was that intentional to...
You know, I'll tell you, so again, as we've mentioned, I'm a huge Austen fan, and if you read any of her books, they're always Mrs. So-and-so. There's never, very rarely a first name, and I think that was an influence.
True. Absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
If this book was to be made into a film, who would you want to cast?
My mum, definitely in one of the characters.
As who?
Mrs. Roy, of course. Strong Bengali woman.
And what about your brother? Will he get a part here?
Where? I'm just trying to... So it doesn't have many men.
It doesn't have many men. That's what I noticed.
There are not many strong male protagonists in this, and it's mainly people with women. So, you know, I'll have to think. I would want to give him something substantial, but no, I don't know if he fits into any of the characters in this book.
As you said, women are protagonists because it's a very woman-dominated book.
Yes.
And you also do... you know, take up a serious issue in the book. I'm not letting out the plot here also. So was that also something intentional you wanted to make?
No, I feel also I have grown up with, surrounded by very, very strong women, whether it was my grandmother, my father's mother, my mother, also my nani, my aunts, and I have a lot of female cousins. So it's always been that world where the women were strong and they decided how things should work and how things should happen, and they had an opinion and they brought it to the table and it was heard and it was given credence and value. So I think that's just how I evolved, and why most of the people in my book are going to be women, and far more interesting lives, if you ask me.
Absolutely. And also, as you've said in the book, that you discovered a whole lot of things, like Lizzie Busy.
Busy Lizzie.
Busy Lizzie, yes, exactly. Was there another world that opened up for you while writing that?
So Busy Lizzie is, when you're living in Delhi and you go to GK Market and you want to buy material for a suit, it happens. You get to know different things. So I have a very dear friend, and I would go with her, and she'd say, I need to go buy, material for my salwar suit. It's such a Delhi thing. And then she introduced me to Busy Lizzie. And I just found the name fascinating. And when I actually saw, when they roll the fabric out in the stores, I was like, wow, just how cool is this? From a girl from Bombay, and then actually who's grown up abroad most of her life. It was just amazing to see all these things.
Yeah, and true that. I mean, you were born in Mumbai, you went abroad to study,
yes,
got married and lived in Delhi.
Yes.
How have these three cultures influenced you?
They've all been actually very strong influences in my life. Bombay in itself is home. So, there's a strong sense of belonging there. When I land in Bombay and I feel, okay, I'm home. I don't have to, it's just, you suddenly become a child. Even though, I'm 44 and I can do a lot of looking after now, but I still just feel like I'm a child and I'm going to be pampered and everything. Delhi it's like opening a little box of jewels, and everywhere there's something or the other that's happening that's just amazing. Either they're just, little quirks of, people doing things, or just lives in, colonies and markets and stuff like that. It's just because you see a lot. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. People are a lot more accessible in Delhi, People are out in markets a lot more. In Bombay, everyone's going to work and they're very busy and with their lives. It's a very fast-moving city. Delhi, you have that, and I have had that leisure to sit and see people, even if it's just looking out my window, someone's doing this, and then it's just wonderful. It's like opening up a little box of jewels.
So, and as you've said in your book, everybody's so concerned about what's happening in another's life. I'm not trying to be anti-Delhi or anti-Bombay, but it's a very Delhi thing where everyone's very concerned about what's happening in your life.
It's actually a very Indian thing.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
So every year during my holidays, I'd go to Bhopal to visit my Nana Nani, and everybody would know that the Bahaduris have their grandchildren. Everyone would know, and sort of everyone would arrive and everyone would come to meet, and so it's a very Indian thing. It's a good thing. Everybody, so it's okay. Sometimes it gets a little intrusive, but when there's trouble, everyone forgets everything and they're there for you, which when you see in the book, it's kind of come through. When you need people, they're there for you.
Absolutely. And also, since you grew up in the spotlight, but when you and your brother were kids, you didn't have the social media and you didn't have the pats in your face. And also, I think your parents made sure that you were not very involved in the lives they were leading. But now it's very different. I mean, your kids are followed, photographed every time. Do you sometimes just get a little concerned as a parent because it's just their privacy is invaded?
I used to. It used to trouble me a lot when the children were much younger, specifically my daughter. My son is not very active in all social media, so it didn't really bother me vis-a-vis him. But for Navya, yes, because you're a young girl, and I think it's just a rite of passage that you want to just keep posting everything you do on Instagram. So there were a lot of fights and a lot of stop this, that, otherwise it's going to get picked up, but it's my private life, and why can't I have a private account, etc. And now she's older, wiser. We've learnt along the way. So now I just leave her to it, and she's touch wood doing okay.
And she's, as I said, she's a stunning girl. And so what has she planned? I mean, there are always stories that Navya in films, or is she going to be a writer like you?
Navya's not in films. She does write, but I don't know if she wants to write a book.
Has she read the book?
She's read bits. She does write. She is studying right now. She has to finish her education, and she's going to get a job. And, that's the path so far that she wants to go on. So I support her. I'm happy that's what she's doing. But yeah, both the kids have to get an education before they even begin to decide, where they want to go and what they want to do with it.
And also, you've given a hope to a lot of women that, you know, it's never too late to do what you want to do and pursue your dreams. So you've been writing columns. We've seen you in an ad. You've launched your fashion collection. Now you've written a book. What next?
Hopefully more books.
Well, we look forward to that. And what kind of books would you want to like?
Fiction,
write?
of course, fiction, and again more human stories, because I love people watching. But also, see, I also realize when, you know, I'm 44 and it's like I've got these opportunities. I realize it may not be so easy for everybody, as it has been for me. But I still do hope that people do try if they have, you know, if they have aspirations and dreams. I just don't want to. I feel people shouldn't think age should matter. It shouldn't be a factor.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, my kids are always like, "Wow, mom, look at you," and I'm like,
I mean, honestly, look at you.
I'm like, really?
Amazing.
Look at me? And they're like, yeah, it's amazing. You're 44. You're doing all this stuff. That's amazing. And I'm enjoying being busy. But I know, like, they'll land and I'll leave everything and it's all about, okay, what do you want to eat for lunch? Where should we go for dinner? You know, oh, mom, I need to go to the dentist. And it's all that. So it's also women, I always feel, are huge multitaskers. And I feel they can juggle different things. So why not? You know, why not try?
So who are you the most nervous to present this book to now?
Actually, all my readers. I hope there are many. Not members of my family, because you know how families tend to be a little biased. Now you scribble something, they're like, amazing. But yeah, all my readers, I hope people like it, they enjoy it. As I said, it's a quick read, it's an easy read, it's fun, and I hope, you know, they enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed writing it.
And does criticism or feedback affect you, or are you like oblivious to it because we live in the age of trolls?
No, I'm not. It affects me probably more deeply than it does others. I'm very thin-skinned, and so I'm nervous about that, of course. But I guess I have no choice. You know, when you put yourself out there, it's something that comes with the territory, and you're just going to have to learn. And you know, you're going to have to learn that, I mean, everybody's not going to love you. A lot of people are probably not going to love you, so it's okay, and you know.
And your friend Karan Johar has written, it's very observant, moving, hilarious, and exceptionally astute. Do you think he is going to make this into a film?
You'll have to ask him.
But would you want it to be made into a movie?
I mean, if someone feels it worthy enough, why not?
And which is your favorite all-time book? The book that you cherish the most, that has really impacted you?
There are a couple. So it will be Persuasion by Jane Austen and Wuthering Heights.
Well, we are in sync, and thank you so much. And you know, launched a collection now. The book, which one are you most excited about?
Both. As I said, multitaskers. I'm excited about both.
Thank you so much, and all the very
so
best.
much.
And you've indeed like turned another new leaf. You know, you can say a new leaf. Thank you so much. All the very best.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you.